How can the same motorcycle, the exact same motorcycle, no different parts, have two different dyno numbers on two different machines? Well, I'm going to show you an exact example of that today and explain why those top numbers you see on that dyno really don't mean all that much. A while back, I did a video and talked about how horsepower and torque don't really matter, because if you don't have the right suspension, like say Legend suspension or something similar, or you don't have the right ergonomics to ride your bike long distance, these things can overpower horsepower and torque. Everybody brags about this horsepower and torque number they got on a dyno machine, but the reality is, without proper suspension, where are you using that power? I guarantee it's not in the corners. But today we're actually talking about the dyno itself and how the number you have on that little piece of paper that you bragged to all your friends about really doesn't matter all that much. And I'm going to explain why. There's reasons for this. There's a lot of logical answers. Yes, dynos are a wonderful thing to learn how to grow your motorcycle, how to perform, to learn what grows power and torque in your motorcycle, where that power and torque sits so you can use it best on the road. Lots of good things come from dyno machines, but too many people brag about that top number that they've got on a report, and it just doesn't matter. There's so many factors involved. And to give that example, we're gonna look at my 2024 Harley-Davidson Road Glide on two different dyno machines on two different days in two different states with two completely different results. But all the parts are the same. While I don't have a photograph of the first printout, I do have a video where I recorded right after running the dyno and I read the printout. Take a look. So we just got our final numbers here. We put it in sport mode. Keep in mind the humidity is high and it's pretty warm out. And when I filled up last time, I have to admit, this is embarrassing to admit right now, but I did put 89 octane fuel in it when I filled up last time, just full disclosure. But our power is 113.45 and our max torque is 128.91. Now, less than 2 weeks later, I ran it again on a completely different dyno and I got this turnout. Max horsepower, 120 horsepower at 5.65 RPM. Max torque, 137.75 at just over 3,000 RPM. So why such a big difference on the exact same bike with the exact same parts? And how can one guy be bragging about 120 plus horsepower motorcycle while the other guy's thinking he's only got 115, but really they've got the exact same performance abilities in their bike? Now, there's probably a lot more factors that I'm just going to run through here today, but let me run through some of the top reasons you can have this. And I'll explain to you what really does matter on your dyno at the end. Number one can be the fuel you have in your bike. Fuel is going to make a difference on how your bike performs. So just because you read a certain number on your dyno doesn't mean your bike is going to do that every time you twist the throttle. Next, let's talk about engine operating temperature. The hotter your bike is, the less power it's going to show on a dyno report. Then you've got your operator, who's actually running this report, and are they doing it 100% correctly? But the exact same operator will probably end up with two different numbers run on two different machines. The actual name brand of that dyno machine does make a difference. Different machines read differently. Of course, elevation can be a factor, right? Like, where are you located in the country? What's the humidity like? What's happening in the environment during this dyno test? These things can make a big difference on your numbers and how they turn out. In the end, there's a lot of variables that will affect your motorcycle's horsepower and torque readout on a dyno machine. And this is why you've never seen me do videos where like we compare which pipe's the best and we run a bunch of pipes against each other, or which cam is producing the most power, because unless you're doing them all on the exact same bike, on the exact same temperature operating engine, with the exact same operator, on the exact same dyno, on the exact same day, with the exact same temperature outside and humidity level, all these things can change. And now you've done a report saying which performs better than the next. And reality is the things aren't the same, and that report is going to be skewed. And that doesn't mean that one recipe of build is better than the other. And you will find a lot of YouTube videos out there with guys claiming to do just that. And I don't believe in it. I don't subscribe to that belief. I just don't think it's as definitive as they try to make it seem in their videos. And while it is nice to see how different things perform, you can only take it at face value. It is not an end-all answer like you often see claimed. But let me tell you what does matter. What does matter is percent of gain. That's really what you want to look at when building a motorcycle and slamming it on a dyno. You want to look at, okay, before I put these parts in, what is my dyno? Before I do the tune, what is my dyno numbers reading? And then, as close as you can get to the exact same day, you want to throw those parts on that bike, put it on the same dyno ran by the same guy, around the same operating temperature, and see what you get. That percent of gain is really all that matters on a dyno. How much did we increase it by percent? The actual number itself, it's gonna vary. With that said, I've got a recipe that I like to use. I like to use the D&D 2-in-1 exhaust. I like to use the Thunder Max tuner. I like to use Redshift cams. These are the things I use to grow horsepower in my motorcycle that has shown me the best performance increase and still keep my bike reliable and running good where I can tour it across country because, well, that's what I'm all about. Touring my bike across country, keeping it as reliable as possible, and enjoying those miles and the experiences and the culture. In the end, that top number, the fact that my 2024 Road Glide 117 non-Screaming Eagles reading 120 horsepower, which is more than what a lot of stage 2 and 3 Screaming Eagle motorcycles are putting out with the bigger engine, that number really doesn't matter. What does matter is the percent of gain. And I hope I made that clear here today. So y'all don't get fixated on that big number up top because it means squat. What really matters is how much faster is your bike after its improvements than it was before. Did I forget some things? I'm sure I did. Let me know about them down in the comments below, and we'll see y'all on the next adventure.